Yo, what up, Toshi here. Today, we are going to be going over all of the pulls in ASTRITE you could get in 1.0 as a free-to-play player, and we'll also throw in the monthly pass and the BP for those of you that are a low spender. This post did come out 10 hours ago at the time of recording. Obviously, that's like 2 in the morning for me. I'm not going to be awake at the time of this coming up. So if there is a video already out going over all this information, then feel free to disregard this video and go watch something else, right? Save your time, okay? But for those of you that are wondering, hey, how many pulls have I had relative to the amount they've actually given out 1.0? Do I have enough for Jinsei if I have not completed, let's say, half of the stuff in the game? I want to know the total calculations of what I can get as a free-to-play for the upcoming patch. Maybe you already pulled for Yilin, maybe you got lucky, who knows, right? What the case may be, everyone's going to be different. But let's just say you want to know what you get in 1.0 as a free play. Let's just hop right into it. This is a long intro for no reason. ASTRITE from trophies. You get a total of 1,145 from this person's calculation. Again, take this with a grain of salt. This could be information that is not all the way accurate, but I would say it should be very close to what would be the actual amount, right? So 1,145. This equates to roughly, well, 5 pulls is 800 ASTRITE. So then we add another 2. Then this would be 7 pulls. So this is 7 pulls of ASTRITE worth from just getting trophies. Okay. Honestly, that's not a lot. So if I were to tell you, hey, I want to get pulls as quickly as I can. Let's just say you're trying to pull Yinlin for a banner goes away. I would not tell you to go for ASTRITEs from trophies. I would not tell you to go trophy hunting just because going trophy hunting is, again, 7 pulls does not equate to a lot of pulls in a timely manner, right? Because trophies are what you complete over time. Like, you'll complete trophies last before you complete everything else, if that makes sense, right? ASTRITE from chests plus map treasures, 10,630. So that's a lot. This is a lot. This is over 50 pulls. 50, 60. So it'll be around 60 pulls. This is actually around 60 pulls. Nice. There's a lot of pulls. So honestly, if you were to go and grab more pulls, let's just say you are behind, again, you want to know what is the fastest way to get pulls, I would tell you to go and do treasure collecting. Go around the map, go explore, go get your ASTRITE from killing mobs, collecting the treasure, right? Chests, doing puzzles, all of that, because this is going to give you the quickest amount of resources that would allow you to get the character. Again, this is not even including the fact that you can get pulls from, let's just say, doing the hardest content in the game, right? But that content isn't feasible for most players at this point in the game, so I'm not going to really recommend you to go and get pulls from that because you need to have your characters built. And, well, chances are if you are trying to get Yinlin, you don't have the teams necessary to get the job done, if that makes sense, right? But overall, this is a decent amount of ASTRITE from chests and map treasure, especially if you are just wanting to enjoy the exploration. ASTRITE from quest, 2440. Honestly, the quests in this game, so a lot of these quests you can skip, right? Companion stories you can't skip. Exploration quest you can skip, right? So any quest you can skip, I would skip side quests, skip. So you can skip exploration and side quests. Companion stories you cannot skip. Main quest / prologues you cannot skip, or at least some parts of it you can't skip, right? Tutorial quests, I'm pretty sure you can skip that, but those were in the beginning. There wasn't very many of those. So overall, this is also a quick way of getting pulls. Just stay away from those companion stories unless you have time to kill, because these do take the longest. They will drain most of your time, and the time you spend trying to get the ASTRITE does not justify the amount you get. Now, again, if you are pressed for pulls, you'll do whatever you can do to get it if you are free to play. But I'm letting you know right now, this is, especially the Yin Yang quest, it will drain a lot of your time. So be prepared. ASTRITE from maxed out cooking / synthesis, 400. So honestly, if you are someone who likes to have 100% completion, I would say do this. It does take a considerable amount of time just because you have to max out the cooking and the synthesis, right? It's not something I do because I don't really cook. I don't use any food, honestly, in my fights. The food does give you advantage, right? You get attack, you get crit stats, you heal, right? So it's useful for combat, but I personally don't use it. I have Arena, right? Arena gives me a whole lot and more synthesis. So converting stuff like that. I do wish synthesis was mobile so that you could just take it wherever you go. You didn't have to go to the station to synthesize. But it's just a small complaint of mine. It has nothing to do with the Jade or the Jade, right? This is Star Rail, not Star Rail. The ASTRITE you get for for completing it, right? But 400 is not that much of an amount. So I wouldn't expect this to be something that you should take into consideration. Well, you'll get this eventually, but it's not going to be all at once, right? ASTRITE from Guidebook plus Data Bank, 1600. Now, this is a lot. 1600 is a lot. That's a 10 pull worth, right? You will get this by just playing the game. You get this from just exploring, right? You are exploring. You will get the 1600. I've already gotten the 1600, right? I've got this from just exploring. So I have a 10 pool on top of the amount I've gotten from just exploring, right? So we add this 10 pool because we'll factor in the 10 pool here on top of the amount you get here, right? So if we were to add this up together, 1600 plus the 10K, this would be around, math. So it's like 81, 82 from just these two alone. That's a lot. That is a lot, right? That's a lot of pools. So overall, this is where most of your pools will come, like limited pools, right? Will come from just exploring and then doing your data bank. So make sure you do this if you are new or you have not completed yet, because you do get a lot of pools relatively easily. And the guidebook is extremely easy to do, right? Extremely easy to do. Now, the only hard part is at the end when you have to fight the hologram bosses level 2. If you don't know what you're doing, then obviously it's going to be hard. If you don't have some characters built, it may be difficult. But you can use the Chixia strat, where it's just using Chixia. You abuse her. Abuse gun characters. You can play at a range, and you'll get it done. Just make sure you have Chixia built. But other than that, yeah, that's a lot of pools. 81, 82 is a lot. ASTRITE from events, 2,445. Now, the events in this game are extremely easy. Let me just preface that, right? Elusive Realm giving 3 pools. Cool. Elusive Realm trophies giving 1 pool. I wouldn't count the trophies or factor that in because, again, this is something you're completing, but just going in, you unlock it all at once. You'll lock it over time, so I wouldn't factor that in. Ascendant Aces. I'm guessing this is the character trial. This has to be the character trial, I assume. I mean, you're going to have this every patch, but it's not that massive amount, but it all does add up, right? Overdash Club, one of the events we did. Very quick, very easy event. Very easy to do. 2 pools, 40 Astra on top of the 2 pools. Wuthering Exploration, this is extremely easy, right? You can do this while doing your dailies. That's how easy it is. You get 5 pools from this here. So you factor that in on top of the pools you get from Overdash Club. Give you about 7 pools, right? Second coming of Solaris. So we factor in the 420 with the 360, right? So there's going to be about 3 more pools on top of the 7 you already get from here. So it's going to be about 10 pools from just these 3 events, right? Very easy. Alloy Smelt. This event was extremely easy also, right? Another 2 pools, 2. Nice, right? Almost 3. Factored in on top of this, you have about 13 pools around here. Pretty nice, right? That's a lot of pools from just doing events that are extremely easy to do, mind you, right? These events, you can complete all these, I would say, in about 2 hours. 2 hours, for sure. All of these events are really easy to do. Now, obviously, the Wuthering Exploration is something that takes time daily, so make sure you do it as quickly as you can. And considering you can just factor into your daily quest, is extremely easy to do, right? And again, all of this is not even taken into consideration the dailies, right? The dailies do give you a decent amount of currency. So make sure you do your dailies. That's always important, right? But you do that every day you log in, so it's not really that big of a, naysay, right? Now, we have all the events out of the way. Now, obviously, like the Awakening Journey, this is in the beginning, right? I mean, don't expect this to be every single patch where they give you, like, the ASTRITE, the standard pools, and the 5-star weapon box, right? This is just launch rewards. So, I mean, we can factor this in, but I don't want this to become a recurring thing where you're just like, oh, where's the launch reward? I mean, that was just at the beginning of the game, right? But you probably don't even remember that you got this, right? Because of how long ago it was. But that's about 4 pools, right? 4 pools, almost 5. 40 standard pools. We don't really factor it in. We really only care about how many pools we get for the limited banner. But that's cool, right? Helps you get a 5-star weapon from the standard banner. 5-star weapon box is also nice, right? Gets you a free weapon. Gifts of Thawing Frost. 4 standard, 2 limited, and Sanhua. Now, we can expect something similar like this to happen each patch. As far as I'm concerned, we have something along the lines of this in the next patch, 1.1. So having a login bonus, right? 4 standard, 2 limited pools, and a Sanhua. From what I remember, the last one, or the upcoming one, was 5 standard and 5 limited. So we expect something to be like this each patch, unless it does change and they feel like they don't need to be as generous, right? To get us to log in. ASTRITE from Daily Quest. This is huge. 2,220. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but if you take into consideration, you are completing the game as you do log in daily. This is factored into all you get. It's a lot of pools, right? It's a lot of pools. Considering, it's just 37 days. Across 37 days, you are playing, you're using your stamina daily. This does go towards, your limited pool count for either... you probably roll for Yilin or Jion, right? So you probably don't remember. But maybe you are saving for Jinsei or Changli, right? Free pools given as compensation. 20 limited, 40 standard, 5-star selector. So they've given out a ton of pools, right? They're giving out a ton of pools. 20 limited is a nice amount. to go factor it into the pools you already have for 1.1, or maybe you use them in 1.0. 5-star selector, nice, but not really factored in, right? 40 standard, very cool, not really factored in. I will say though, if you have a 5-star, like if you are getting 5-star characters, and this is perfect time to talk about the gacha, right? Because this doesn't cover it. If you are pulling in the gacha, which I will log in and show you, we'll talk about this at the end. Free pools given from Battle Pass, which is 5 standard banner. Total this far, 21,000, right? 21,550 ASTRITE, 134 limited pools, 22 limited. So just log in rewards, right? They gave us 20 for the compensation, right? For the issues and the mess ups, the screw ups. Almost said the F word. I'm trying not to cuss in these videos. They're not even monetized, so I just don't want to cuss. And then 2 limited pools on top of that from the login bonus, says 22, right? Limited pools from just existing as a player. 85 standard pools for just existing as a player, right? 5-star selector, 5-star weapon box, and Sanhua, right? Now, obviously, if you already have Sanhua, you're getting some corals, which you can then also convert into a pool, which I do recommend is converting your corals into pools if you're someone who likes to character collect, which we'll talk about in just a second, right after all this. 134 limited pools is huge. That is nearly a pity. Well, that is a pity worth if you factor in the corals you'll use to then also get you to pity. An 85 standard on top of that is also really nice, right? So all this, perfect. So all this was calculated without TOA stuff and holograms, because this is stuff that people aren't really that capable of clearing yet. This is what I mentioned earlier. So I'm glad this person did not include this in, right? But let's just go ahead and factor in for anyone that is already at the content or has already been doing it, right? Or is wondering how much they can get if they were to complete it, right? Tower Diversity plus trophies for Tower Diversity, 2650. This is almost 20 pools. But again, this is not something you're going to be getting all at once unless you are already at that point in which you can clear it. Then, of course, you will get all at once. But this is going to be something that free to play will probably get half of, right? Because, again, your character's not built at that point. But it is still a lot of pools, considering this is content that resets. Except for the experimental zone, right? But the hazard zone... Wait, is this a mess up? I think they messed up. They did not mean to put 7,000. I was like, whoa, 7,000? They meant to put 700, right? Okay, so I was right. I just wanted to make sure. Experimental zone, stable zone, don't reset. But the hazard zone does reset. Technical hologram clears, 480. Now, obviously, this is not something you're going to be getting all at once unless you are already at the point where you can clear it. But 3 pools from that is very nice, right? This is in a part of the end game again, so don't really expect to get this unless you are there. And again, I am glad it's not factored into this, but if you were to factor both of these in, you would have around an extra 20 pools on top of the 134 you already received. Tactical hologram data sets, you get an extra 17.3 standard pools. ASTRITE, so again, 20 pools on top of the 134 you already received if you are to factor in the end game that you may or may not be able to clear. Very nice. And we are to factor in the 20 pools, which this person does go over. Oh, they're factoring the standard. Okay. Let's look at here, right? 182 for free to play. But again, if you do have the monthly pass, you factor in the extra. Okay, so if you are someone that gets monthly pass, because I just did my mind, that's 23 pools on top of the 182 we have here. So if you were a monthly pass player, then you have, 22.7 additional. For players with the monthly subscription, right? Welcome Moon, all that jazz. You have additional 22, 23-ish. Let's just round it, 23 pools on top of the 182 you already have. So this equates to 205 pools as a paid player or monthly player, right? And if you want to factor in the battle pass, right, you get an extra 9 pools from that. Well, again, since it's close to, well, there's no need to round it up because it is like, you get like 40 extra ash, right? I mean, we don't really factor that in, right? So that will leave you to 100 or 214 limited pools as a paid player. That's a lot of pools. That is a lot of limited pools. That is a full pity and more worth. But realistically, you losing both 50-50s is not likely. But if you do lose it, my condolences, because I did lose it myself. Now, before we do wrap up the video, there is one last thing I wanted to mention for any player that wants to get extra pools on top of the pools they already mentioned that you did receive in 1.0. So, every time you pull on the banner, you do get something called coral, which is a currency you can then convert into various things. So, the corals you do get can be converted into pools from here, but obviously you've already gotten those pools. I assume most players have, so we'll factor that in when it does reset, which is in 10 days. However, you do get something called the Afterglow Coral, which is your we'll call it premium coral, right? The premium coral or shiny coral, right? use that premium or shiny coral to then convert into either eventually constellations or dupes for your characters, premium tuners, which I mean maybe you do if you are someone who likes to echo farm religiously, but obviously Radiant Tides is going to be the best bang for your buck because it gives you more pools going towards the next character, which is what I recommend if you are a character collector like me. So if you do factor in these right here, to be honest, gave me about, I want to say, an extra 10 pools this whole patch, just because I have been getting quite a few 5 stars. Again, it depends on how many 5 stars you do get, because that's where most of it comes from. And 4 stars do give you Afterglow Coral as well. But 5 stars give you so much in this game without even factoring the fact that they're not even maxed out. Like maxed out in Starro, Genshin, whatever, you would get like 10. In this game, you get quite a bit without them even being maxed out, which is insane. Do take that into consideration. This is another way to get more pools if you are maxed out already in the game. I don't obviously recommend pulling on the banner. Don't pull on the banner just to get Afterglow Coral to get you to pity quicker. I mean, don't do that for a character you don't want, right, first and foremost. But there is more pools you can get without factoring the pools you get in the whole patch, right? Well, that's it. That's going to be the video here. Obviously, that is a rough estimate, so you may end up having more. You may end up having less. Again, it is a very rough estimate, but that should be close to the amount you do get. That person did do a take 2 of that post, so I am taking that person in good faith, okay? But again, this is rough estimate, so it may not be up to date or super accurate. But the 1.1 pool count was pretty accurate. So we'll talk about that when 1.1 does come around. But that's the video here. Thank you for watching, and have a nice rest of your day. Peace.